All right, hello once again. Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development Program, and in particular the AWD 1111 .NET Framework with Web Databases class for the Fall 29 semester, I've been creating a series of video presentations based on the textbook that will be used for the AWD 1111 class. That, as shown on the screen right here, is Pro ASP.NET MVC 5, an A-Press text by Adam Freeman. Now, I'm on Chapter 23, out of 27 chapters. All right, so we're under the URL and helper methods, but I'm still running into a lot of errors. They all seem to be directly or indirectly under this role. I've gone back and changed things, I've added things, but it's all still there. All right, whether that's right, wrong, good, bad, doesn't really matter because I'm having problems getting it to work. But I'm just going to lumber on here. So the author says we need to define some additional styles in our layout.css. So right down near the bottom, we're going to grab these. These are the errors that I'm still getting. All right, in that layout file, right down near the bottom, all right, right before our ending style tag, we are going to add this. Let's pretty it up a little bit. All right, so that's adding the extra CSS styles that we were told to add on pages 646 and 647. Next, on 647, we're supposed to go in and install the jQuery, even though that's an older version, and the Microsoft jQuery unobtrusive. So I'm going to come in there and I'm just going to use the ones that they have. So I'm going to copy. You know how we do this. That is, we come in and we click Tools. We go down to NuGet Package Manager Console. And in the Package Manager Console, we will put both of these in. So in fact, I'm just going to type them in. Install -package jQuery -version 1.10.2 and install -package Microsoft .jQuery.unobtrusive .ajax -version 3.0.0. Come on, 0.0. There we go. All right, so we've got that put in. All right. One of the most fundamental tasks in a view is to create a link or URL where you can follow to another part of an application. This is the bottom of page 647, right here. In previous chapters, you saw most of the helper methods that you can use to create links and URLs, but the author wanted to take a moment to recap before moving on. So table 23.2, which is on page 648, describes the available HTML helpers and shows examples of them. To demonstrate the author, it says, I added an index.cshtml on our people file. So let's close this. Let's find our people controller. All right, you can see we still have the errors with role. All right, but I'm going to go in there and they want us to add an index method. So that is for our people controller. There it is. All right. And the CSS, or the JavaScript code you're supposed to add is right here. Whoops. So here's the contents on the bottom of page 648. And it goes on then to page 649. Now again, this is where we run into issues. Since I have errors in my code, as you all know, I can't run it to prove that indeed, if I run it, it's going to look like this. All right, but it does say this view contains the same set of helper calls listed in table 23.2 and presents the results in an HTML table. Okay. All right. Page 650. Using MVC unobtrusive Ajax. Again, I mentioned this before. I want to be thorough with what I'm telling you here. Ajax, as it says, is asynchronous. Notice, it is a model for requesting data from the server in the background without having to reload the web page. In years past, what happened was if you were working on a web page and you had to reload it, well, literally you'd get what was called flicker, which meant that basically for just a second, boom, when the old page left and the new page reloaded, your screen would just flicker like, okay? Well, you don't have that anymore because what Ajax does is it allows you to do what's referred to typically as a partial page refresh. So you only need to refresh that part of the page that needs to be refreshed. So the MVC framework contains built-in support for unobtrusive Java, or Ajax rather, which means you can use helper methods to define your Ajax features rather than having to add blocks of code throughout your views. Okay? So I'm going to begin this section by creating the view for the get people action in the controller, which is under views people get people.cs HTML. So we're under views, people, and we want to add a view that's just, oops, I'm not sure how it did that, but it's called get people. Okay, and we're going to put this in there. This meaning the information that is shown on the bottom of page 650. Okay, and again, as I've gone back and forth between person and person metadata, okay, I've had nothing but problems. All right, there's a part of me that thinks I should just get rid of every inference, everything I've got that's talking about this person metadata, and maybe I'd be better off then. I don't know. All right, but as we go on, the author mentions here, this is a strongly typed view whose model type is an IEnumerable. says, I enumerate the person objects in the model to create rows in an HTML table. So the idea behind this is what should be happening in here is we should be getting this. All right, a list of first names, last names, and their roles. So you'll notice, okay, there's just the admins, there's just the users. Notice we've got a guest in there. So we have in here in the drop down all, or admin, all, and user if we did it alphabetically. So it says this is a simple demonstration of a fundamental limitation in HTML forms, which is that the entire page is reloaded when the form is submitted. This means that the content of the web page has to be regenerated and reloaded from the server, which is not only an expensive operation, it's time consuming. And while this is happening, since this is a synchronous type of process, users cannot perform any other task within the application. They have to wait until the new page is generated, loaded, and then displayed. All right, that's not typically what you'd want. So starting on the bottom of 651, the author talks about preparing for unobtrusive Ajax. It says the unobtrusive Ajax feature is set up in two places in the application. First in the web config file. All right. So what we have to do is we have to go into our web config file, and it should be the major web config file, the one that's down here. And we want to go in where we have our keys, and we want to make sure, notice, add key unobtrusive JavaScript enabled value equal true. So that's already set. In addition to checking the web config, we need to add references to the jQuery JavaScript libraries that implement this unobtrusive functionality. All right. So we've got to go to our layout file. And in our layout file, down at the bottom, after we've got our style, okay, so right after the ending style tag, but before we end our head, we're going to put script source equals, all right, tilde, which means we want to start at the root of our project, slash scripts slash jQuery dash 1.10.2.js. Okay. And then enter script tag, and then put in another script source equals, again, starting with tilde, slash scripts slash jQuery dot unobtrusive. Slash jQuery, not a dot. All right, so there's our unobtrusive Ajax.js. And again, we can end that, which we'll put in, our ending script tag. All right, that's what's shown on the bottom of page 652 in the text. The files that we referenced were added to the scripts folder by the NuGet package, so that's what we did before in the package manager. The jQuery, the first one that's here, the jQuery -1 dot, etc., that contains the core jQuery library, and the other one that's here contains the Ajax functionality, and that relies on the jQuery library, which means that's why they have to be loaded in this order. All right. Now we're up to creating an unobtrusive Ajax form, so I'm on page 653. Seems like a good place to stop right here. We will pick it up, all right, from right here and right here in the next lesson.